So there's a metaphor for transformation that is constructing my skyscraper, which is really an interesting exercise. So here, let's say we're presenting the image of a 100-story building. The skyscraper is an analogy for the many flaws of perception, the truth and reality that we have within us. As buildings, it's good to see because they're constructs and we always look the same from the outside, but from within, we know that our view of the world is altered with each ascending floor. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. And when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at just miraculously change. So the way we see the world has become very, very central to healing and transformation for most people. So this is how it works. Even though the building never moves an inch, our worldview shifts over time. So what we want to do in this analogy is walk up the staircase. And slowly with each new floor, we develop consciousness. And we start to see things as they are, not as we are. So it is a spiritual awakening process. You get to transcend the prison of personality, the bounds of ego, and start to heal, start to move up. So it's really a great exercise. So this moving up, this spiritual awakening, of course, is uncomfortable. And with each new floor, the cost of living gets more expensive. In other words, there's a price to pay. Change is uncomfortable. Life on the ground floor becomes more and more distant, and we start to see the view from the higher floors. Views that we never thought were there. Views that never existed. And we start our work in the basement and we work our way up to 100 floors up to the penthouse. What we want to do, of course, is become a better person, a wiser person, a more conscious person, able to make mindful and conscious choices. So what we've got to understand with any awakening process, when we start to really open our eyes, behind our eyes, is that the rules are different at every level of awareness. Now, you can't go back. Once you've woken up, you've woken up. So what that means is you're going to have to really recalculate the way you think, which becomes the way you feel, which becomes the way we act, the way we behave. And of course, those actions and behaviors have consequences for ourselves, others in the world. So as you really wake up, you start to see others living around you doing the same thing. Maybe people that you never noticed were on the same journey as you before. And now they're noticing you in this building, and you get to notice them as well. You can either matter to them and they to you or not. The rules are yours. It's up to you. The skyscraper metaphor offers a framework for your understanding, and it gives you focus and a destination as you climb the staircases through the stages of personal growth. So progress, while challenging, is always possible. And this is something that many people who have been stuck for a while don't seem to remember. So getting a picture of this building and what we need to do with it is a good start. So we start in the basement. It's the survival zone. And the basement in our skyscraper represents our starting point, the place of initial awareness. Now, you can imagine it's often dark, can be difficult to see where there's any progress, there's any way out. There's no shame in being in the basement though. Everyone begins there. This is where we grapple with the fundamental questions about ourselves, our values, and really our place in the world. So it's a time of deep exploration, often accompanied by discomfort. The discomfort, of course, is when we begin to recognize areas of our shadow, maybe things we haven't wanted to see for a while. We crucially recognize this discomfort is the first step towards moving up. So the brain really is the basement in our limbic system, and that's where our survival threat responses are. We call them F9. Fight, flight, freeze, flop, fawn, fiddle, faint, and friend, as well as forget or just deny the situation. So those are survival tactics that keep us stuck in the beginning. They really keep us asleep until we're ready to do the work of waking up. So we start in the basement. Let's think of this basement starting point as the subconscious, where we have hidden power and a shadow self. So it's a place, of course, where we store things up, push things down, things we try to forget, things we don't want to deal with. These can include past traumas, limiting beliefs, negative emotions. It's just where our old baggage really resides. But more important than anything else, it's a starting point. There's also power there because there's this need to emerge out of the shadows and into the light. It's in all of us. It's just inescapable. So we've got to try and keep that feeling of power, even though the accumulation of a personal history, the feeling of stuckness that we can have can be so overwhelming. We can feel powerless. But if we really cling to the idea that there's personal growth and healing to be done, there's awakening to do, we start to clean out the basement and become aware of our subconscious patterns that no longer serve us. So going into the depths of your inner self is the work. That's where the journeys begin, in the basement, as we head up towards our penthouse, towards expanded and then pure consciousness. So we want to face these fears, the anger, the shame, the despair, all the difficult stuff. We want to lean into the discomfort of life here and experience some of the constant struggle, anxiety, restlessness, whatever it is, feeling of being victimized that we need to start with. And we need to stop blame shifting, stop denying at this level, and start to move up. Okay, so we climb the staircase, we get out of the basement, and we then move up towards a reactive zone, the first floor or two. So discomfort is a crucial indicator of growth. So this stage requires conscious effort. Think of it like deciding you no longer want to eat junk food. You have to actively choose healthier options as you ascend your staircase. So we embrace the unease, acknowledge the fear, and remind yourself that the effort is going to be worth it in the end. So the payoff here is you learn to regulate your emotions. You start to feel less powerlessness and a bit of change happening as you don't just submit to anxiety and feelings of fear. So you can move beyond this survival mind, this survival zone where you're operating at a very low energy level, around 100 to 200 joules. As a matter of fact, we can measure it, of course. So you go from being locked in, trying to satisfy your needs for certainty, and then you move towards being willing to face uncertainty and the unknown. It requires some effort, but choice is coming. You're expanding your consciousness, but you could still be largely reactive to external stimuli. Emotions like anxiety and so on, codependency, are still around. You might have feelings of perfectionism, control, whatever it's going to be. But these are archetypes that highlight the tendency for us to seek approval in the beginning. And that means we wear masks to do that, So being true to ourselves or finding our authentic selves is the work here. So we're leaving the old behind as we go up, and we go up another level or two, and we start to arrive at the awakening and the empowerment zone. These higher floors start to mark the beginning of self-discovery. We start letting go of emotional beliefs and limiting patterns here. We let go of the controller and victim archetypes and climb slowly, leaving behind some old habits, maybe some relationships that no longer serve you. So it's a bittersweet process, but of course essential for growth. You then move up to the integration zone at around 700 or 800 joules. You're really ascending your skyscraper, but it requires a team effort. And that's what we're doing here as we do the work together. Always we need a team. No man is an island. We don't have to try and climb these floors alone. So we seek support, practice meditations guided by others. We take all we can. We need a crew. We need a posse. So we start to connect to people. As we climb the staircase, it's an integration zone. So we really ask for help, share with people, trust, and move upwards. So in our skyscraper metaphor, you can use the middle floors that you're getting to now as everyday consciousness, really. They represent everyday consciousness in our lives. So you can navigate daily routines, relationships, responsibilities, real life. It's the space where we engage with the world, make choices, and experience the consequences of those choices freely and openly. We're not perfect, and we shouldn't strive for perfectionism, as we know that perfectionist archetype is just no good for our future, no good for our growth. So we must understand that these archetypes, these personality masks, have really shaped our lives up until this point. We become codependent, controlling, judgmental. We become victims because we needed to navigate that basement. We needed to stay alive, and survival mind becomes personality, and personality becomes your personal reality. So let's not forget, these middle floors are where the archetypical patterns play out. So you can play with your roles that you've had to go through and let them go. So it's an area of personal power and choice here in the middle floors, and you can really get creative with it. It's about participation in the creation of your reality as it unfolds. So no longer being a victim or someone who just waits for things to happen. You rather create and cause effect. So the middle floors here are where we live out our conscious lives, guided now by the subconscious patterns that we've had to face on lower floors. It's the space where we have the opportunity to become aware of these influences and make new conscious choices to shape our reality. So as you climb your staircase, you're just leaving these limiting beliefs and things behind. And this is what personal development is. In the integration zone, your energy around 700 joules or so is really starting to come up from your root chakras, of course, your energy discs of the chakras, and it's starting to go up and open your heart. Your EQ and self-love starts to really help us let go of that control that we used to seek and need so badly. So on these middle floors, we can read, learn, just be with others without the judgments, the strong critic. We can lower our defenses and start to be the change that the construction of your skyscraper will bring when you reach your penthouse, which is of course representing of the realm of spirituality, where people transcend the limitations of the ego and connect with their authentic, sacred selves. And when you do that, of course, you experience deep joy, love, and profound sense of interconnectedness with all beings, really, with nature and with the world. The defenses are really in our head. And of course, defense is where all wars start, not the other way around. So at this point, you should try and visualize what the penthouse is going to look like, how far you're going to be able to see. Start to get a feeling of what self-realization feels like, what unconditional love and courage and pure consciousness actually feel like. For many of us, we haven't experienced profound peace in a long time, and a deep understanding of your interconnectedness with all things is really going to help you elevate to this level and radiate some joy, compassion, and wisdom. So to sum it up, as you're working the skyscraper exercise, you identify your flaw loosely, and you've got to create these things yourself. Get the visualizations yourself and identify your flaw, where you honestly feel you are in your awakening journey, what challenges you're facing. Then we need to embrace the discomfort, recognize discomfort is a sign of potential growth. Then we need to remember the benefits of change, why we're actually doing this, what we're gaining by moving up floor by floor, and focus on positive outcomes. We then look for our construction crew and seek others in the skyscraper. Look for teachers, people who can help you on your journey. Don't be distracted anymore. Look at what resources you can utilize. You'll be amazed because what you seek is seeking you. When you need a teacher, the teacher will appear. So visualize your building often. Use this. Remember to use this as a tool for reflection and motivation. Whenever you feel stuck, just go into the visualization. It really is a framework for understanding your personal growth as a construct, as something you can actually see. Where focus goes, we're going. By visualizing your journey as a construction project, you can really gain the clarity, embrace more challenges, and continue building your best self, one floor at a time. So soon enough, we're going to hit the transcendence zone at around 900 joules or so to 1,000 joules. Now, this transcendence zone is a high energetic zone, so change just starts to rush in, and it's called the transcendence zone because you're going above what you once were. You're going above form and entering into the realm of the spiritual. So as you sort of approach these top floors, your penthouse represents a state of pure consciousness. You've gone through expanding your consciousness, and now it's starting to become more pure and more powerful. So it's not a destination, but I want you to see it as a vantage point, this penthouse and the top floors. It's where you want to love, find peace, authentic power, and your life's purpose. Besides that, the air is fresher up there, the views are clearer, and you're less susceptible to the fear, distraction, and drama, and the suffering that used to plague you on the lower floors. So even the penthouse, the journey of personal growth to the penthouse, doesn't mean we're going to arrive and not have to do anything. There'll always be new challenges and opportunities for expansion, but they'll be by choice. You want to grow, you want to contribute, and this is where you change what things mean to you. And when you do that, everything changes. Unconditional love, profound peace, bliss, harmony, all of these things are what we need to strive for. Remember that everything is energy. E equals mc squared. Energy is matter. So we're doing an exercise of mind over matter here. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says, very importantly, that the only way we can change our lives is to change our energy. To change the electromagnetic field, we are constantly broadcasting. Very important. In this transcendent zone, your energy is really being set free. And these higher floors are all about spiritual consciousness, heightened states of awareness, contemplative intelligence, as we call it. They're about a connection to the divine, to God, to developing a deeper understanding of your spiritual self and really why you're here. This is work that we don't often do, and it's the most important work we can ever do on the planet. Self-actualization and God realization. That's what it's all about. There's no other reason that is going to echo through eternity. You are here to discover yourself and your creator. There's no doubt about that. So at these higher floors and at the penthouse, you're seeking intuition and divine guidance. You're going from 5 sensory to extrasensory. where you connect with inner guidance, intuition, and your sense of purpose. And these are all things you can't see. These are things that are beyond the personality. They're all connected to the higher self. Penthouse is a space of clarity where you can access deeper insights and these extrasensory perceptions that are released with energy when you're ready. And they change the game. When you start receiving guidance from a higher source, that's when things really, really change. This is transformation in depth. So connection to the divine is our goal. We find the space of a profound spiritual understanding and enlightenment, a state of being where we're fully aligned with our soul's purpose. So on our journey, we've gone from sensory to multisensory to an extrasensory kind of navigation. As we go up floor by floor in this metaphorical skyscraper, we just sense a whole lot more of life than we ever could have imagined. We see all the light we could not see. We get beyond the analytical and calculating mind and get to experience life far, far more than we ever have before, just with our five senses. So your I7X, as we call it, your extrasensory perception, is a communication. It's a part of the unseen sacred self of who you really are. And these 7 dimensions of ourselves, our extrasensory power, if you will, are all dormant, and they're awakened when we can start to see. So, these 7 dimensions of yourself are intention, which is purpose, intuition, imagination, which is creative power, insight or revelation, intellect, which is a higher intellect, contemplative intelligence. Number 6 would be inspiration, which is inspired by your spirituality and how you're ignited by passion and enthusiasm for all things real. And last but not least, innovation, which is about taking action, big, bold steps, where you're no longer trapped in fear. It's where you bring new ideas and create as you were created. So when we embrace all the power within, we shift from 3D to 5D to being able to wrap our minds around a 5D reality. Most of life is going on in a space where we cannot see it. So we don't go out, we go within, and getting to the penthouse is our goal. We want to be able to see, to be, and to create.